last ban for the side of FPX. This time around, denying the Annie away from Ket and into the pockets of Tangyuan, but that does allow FPX to play a very similar composition like the Wukong and Ahri themselves, and even secure the Aphelios and get that away from LP.
So, Annie locked in. Wukong will be the answer, but Wukong Ahri wouldn't be too bad at all for FPX. I'm sure be quite happy with that one. I feel like we are seeing a bit of a flip around in the draft of what's actually locked in here. If that Ahri comes on through anyway. But you could leave the Ahri until third anyway, since the Annie is there, and instead go for something like the Aphelios.
Yeah, get the Aphelios, deny that away from LP, and really force RNG to introduce something new to the tables. But doesn't seem like so. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ahri getting locked in second here, because that does mean RNG is going to secure that. Most likely Aphelios and Nautilus for themselves in this game too, which we saw LP do extremely well on. And yes, the Zeri is up and available, and we saw the exact same matchup in our first series, but we kept saying how the Zeri doesn't have the same presence when it comes to the mid-game skirmishes, and you really need to stall out the game for the Zeri to go that LvMao build. But the Kha'Zix is going to get locked in full way in this game too.
Yes, the Aphelios alongside it, but deciding they don't need their support lock-in just yet. They're getting a good jungle matchup four-way instead. And now FPX, what do they prioritize? Could go for trying to get a good top laner for Xioalaohu and banning out that lane, but I feel like you're really just going to pick Sion for top lane anyway. But no, they are going to lock in the Jax up top, so maybe a Gragas ban could come on through. Try and deny anything they feel like Breathe would want to take into a Jax.
Have a feeling, oh, it's already been taken away. Damn, Kennen's already been banned away. I would have loved to seen a Kennen game from Breathe once again in summer. I believe we already seen it once, but with the blind Jax coming in through for Xioalaohu, he is going to have that late game security that lacked from the draft of FPX in that game one. So LWX, I mean, he honestly can just go very stock and standard play, something that will just naturally scale like the Zeri and the Rakan for the second game, and let Xioalaohu play aggressive in that lane, have Hacker move towards that top side, to even move Care out of his own lane. But we'll have to wait and see what the bottom lane matchup will be, because Wei on this Kha'Zix, he isn't going to be as active compared to something like the Wukong in that game one, but with the Youmuu's nerf as well, it is most likely going to be a Duskblade. So this Kha'Zix, once you get that Duskblade spike, they want to start forcing those fights in the mid game, and you really want to deny that as FPX.
Few AD carries available. I was about to mention that Lucian Nami might actually sneak through the draft and could be a position of power for Chocho and LWX, but the Rakan available, Xayah banned. Does Chocho still go for the Rakan will be the question, as LWX just looking towards a late game carry, deciding RNG aren't going to play quick enough to leverage the 2-item Aphelios over that Jinx like we talked about earlier on today. We'll see what RNG want to do to finish their composition out. Poppy would be the second time we see it today. Does seem to be increasing in priority.
I love this Poppy pick, but it is going to be for Breathe in the top lane. I believe the last time I saw a Poppy was by the Shy, and yes, this champion slightly struggles in lane because the Jax can bait out the W and then kind of play around your cooldowns. But when it comes to these team fights, you have the Ahri, you have the Wukong to deny as well. So FPX kind of shooting themselves in the foot by blinding these Jax while Poppy was still up and available. But there's just too many counters to Jax. You already see the Kennen and the Gragas being taken away. FPX locking in something very expected. The Jinx and Lulu looking to scale and really allowing Hacker with this Wukong to fasten up the tempo and play towards, or at least help out Jax in this laning phase.
Chocho deciding he needs to be the hard engage though, swapping away from the Lulu into that Nautilus. And to be honest, when it's Chocho specifically, I'm very much in favor of the hard engage supports. But also I feel like it's harder to play the Enchanter style of League of Legends than it is the hard engage support style, at least for LPL teams. And I'm not talking about piloting the champion, I'm talking about how the team functions and how you start fights, how you have to play the game. I feel like a lot of teams not very good at playing around those enchanters and using objectives to bait fights, etc, etc. Quite often we just end up with flips, whereas the Nautilus, you can actually start fights, you can actually press the go button. But we'll see how this one's going to work out. We've got a Jinx coming back into League of Legends. Although, to be fair, we do still see a fair bit of Jinx, but it does feel like on the edge of the meta these days comparatively to that of Felios. We'll see how it's going to go down in this one. RNG versus FPX, and FPX up against the wall now. We'll see how they come back for game 2.
Most definitely, an FPX having that early game success in that game 1, hopefully it translates to the second game as well. QuiQiu having an amazing performance on that melee support as well. Nautilus, the matchup has been flipped around, but I feel like if he's able to set up the tempo and allow Hacker to bounce off this and then enable Care to slightly move out of the mid lane and then start putting his attention towards his bottom side and get LWX online on this Jinx, LWX definitely the main carry or the main player to have your eyes set on, and hopefully they can bring it to 3 games.
We'll have to find out. FPX up against the RNG, wanting to go 3-3 in the standings. I want to even that record up because it's not been the greatest split for them so far, but it does feel like they're improving. Like that last game, while the early game wasn't great, the macro in the mid and late game did look good. They knew what their comp was doing and they played towards it. This time, they've got a little bit more of that kind of pick potential on their side with the Rakan, with the Annie, Ziggs alongside them. Like, that's a lot of power. We need to see RNG being proactive now in a similar way to what we were asking for from FPX in the previous game.
Yeah, most definitely, and especially with this Poppy getting locked in for Breathe in game 2, we do have a lot of this denial ability from just the Poppy alone, where FPX, yes, you want to be working towards those skirmishes, but you need to remember that Xioalaohu on this Jax, he is going to provide a lot of pressure towards that second, or towards the side lane, and at one point, once those 3 items come online for Xioalaohu, Breathe isn't going to be able to match this for the late game, and even Tangyuan on the Annie not the most ideal either. So if FPX, they can play with their space and deny RNG's force of engage when it comes to the mid game, I feel like it could be good for FPX.
Certainly could. There are definitely ways for FPX to win this one. As RNG so far, slow start with the Kha'Zix on the bottom side, way pathing up towards that top lane. Whereas on the opposite side, we've got Hacker moving towards the bottom side of the map. So curious how that interaction is going to play out. Whether we do see the junglers trying to get into those lanes, or whether it's just going to be, you know, the standard clear into Scuttle Crab. They're playing opposite sides, so you would expect a crab each. As Xioalaohu, very nice trade for him. As Breathe does manage to get a shield, gets a crash proc as well. Trades it back on Xioalaohu with the jump forwards. Breathe is in trouble here. And Xioalaohu holds on to the flash, forces it out from Breathe.
And that is going to be the TP at 3 minutes, forced out of the Poppy as well. Great spacing used by this Jax. I mean, this is when it comes to the top lane 1v1 matchup. It's all about mind games and how this Jax is able to bait out the abilities from Breathe. And obviously, it did go into the favor of him. But Hacker trying to look for something in the mid lane.
Oh, flash out from Tangyuan. So Breathe gets his flash forced out. Tangyuan gets his flash forced out. RNG's laners could be in a little bit of trouble. Hacker has a lot of space to play with on the map right now.
And that enables Hacker to start looking for opportunities in the opposing jungle where this Kha'Zix, yes, you're trying to full clear as fast as possible. The W's a little bit late from Breathe, so this lane, I mean, it is Poppy favored if you're able to stop the Jax from jumping onto you. But if you're not able to react to that, I mean, the Jax is going to win every single trade when it comes to that. So wait, he's going to try and force something here. Xioalaohu has the flash available, but no mana.
This is brutal, but Breathe just playing to bait here as Wei moves in, has the ISO damage, jumps forward, the Warthog ain't enough. Wei flashes for first blood.
With the wave slowly pushing towards the side of RNG, Wei does make up for that initial 1v1 in the top lane and gets that kill into his pocket, so that is great. Having that extra bit of gold does make your way towards that Duskblade.
Yeah.
But Hacker on the other side, I mean, this Wukong, you need to play towards QuiQiu if you're not going to help out Jax.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well, because Xioalaohu had already used his teleport, so actually loses a ton of minions to the tower there. This is a big moment for Breathe, even if he doesn't get the kill, like, just the XP advantage that he'll find for himself, or at least even the XP advantage that Xioalaohu built up off the level 1 play.
Yeah, Xioalaohu once again going in, but really good bait from Breathe, honestly. And saving that W for when Xioalaohu was trying to run away, forcing the flash out as well. But wait, having everything available does mean the kill goes into his pockets. Having that serrated Dirk as well. I mean, I was talking about how Hacker realistically could look for invades into the opposing enemy jungle, but with that serrated Dirk into Wei's pockets, I'm not too sure if he wins that anymore. And if he can stagger the scaling ability of this Kha'Zix in the early game.
We'll see if they can try and shut Wei down. It's going to be the story of the game for FPX, as they have to look towards later on. At this point, RNG already finding themselves an early lead. And this is kind of the opposite of what we saw in game number 1. It was FPX who were winning out early the first time around. Not going to happen again as Breathe. This time, he does find the steadfast presence. This time, Xioalaohu can't find himself those free trades. The Barbie Cinder online. Feels like Breathe now feeling a little more comfortable in that side lane.
Pretty slow early game, but like you said, RNG are the ones coming out on top in terms of the kill advantage. But I feel like forcing the 2 flashes out of Care.
Okay.
Okay.
Got his flash back up just before this play. So he'll survive. Oh, in fact, no, that was his first flash. I'm thinking of Tangyuan's flash from earlier. But that'll be a flash for a Tibbers. I think you're happy with that as Tangyuan, honestly. I feel like Tibbers is used extremely liberally in League of Legends these days. Bears have feelings too, you know, guys. Setting a bear on fire and throwing it at someone, that is not civil behavior in modern society.
You know what else isn't acceptable behavior? That RNG is able to get this vision control in the jungle. So it does force Luma out, but my biggest question when it comes to this early game, because we saw the 2 flashes getting burnt out of the solo laners of RNG, so is Hacker going to play towards this, or is he just going to wait for the whole 5 minutes to go by and not be as proactive in this early game? That's the problem that we see with FPX, is that you have great setup, you have a lot of CC from each lane, but we don't see Hacker kind of utilizing this to its full potential. Hopefully, with the Rift Herald spawning 1 minute, we see a huge engage out of this Wukong.
Certainly hope so, as he's just about to broach that level 6 mark. Like you say, that's really when Hacker can come online and start to impact the game. Wei, in the meantime, has got into this top side. Look at this. Raptors available, red buff available. The Krug's about to respawn as well. Wei's going to take it all. It's Hacker on the bottom side of the map here. Chocho, LWX pushing in as well. They're trying to trade buffs, but LvMao knows what's going on. Didn't actually see Chocho, I don't think. Although the pings are coming through, maybe he did. I wasn't sure if the brush had blocked it, but Hacker starts the red buff off. LvMao just trying to be a nuisance in the meantime as Wei got his on the top side. Care, good little charm there and a great trade on Tangyuan.
You see, both of these teams are splitting up the map, but RNG securing that deep vision control for the top side does mean that they do have that extra bit of advantage when it comes to the upcoming Rift Herald, which will be spawning in 12 seconds. Ready to see Hacker resetting for this. However, without the supports rotating to this, I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to safely secure this Rift Herald by just themselves.
If they can. LWP, I almost said. I'm combining the AD carries at this point. LP trying to get priority in the bottom side. Perhaps we could see the supports rotating up, but for now it looks like they're quite content to stay in this bottom side and fight out in that 2v2. Both looking to scale, both culls about even. The AD carries matching for now as Hacker starts this Herald off. But the priority not that dramatic right now. Should be able to find it in the mid lane as Care just using all of his mana to try and force that wave in. You can see Tangyuan very low on HP. So should be Care winning that one out, and it should be the Herald taking over as Wei is just all over the invades this game. Like, took all of the counts on the top side before, now moving over to the bottom side as the Herald happens. Not interested in those neutrals, just interested in the jungle camps.
Pretty much Wei just took Hacker's entire jungle camps, even top and bottom. Like you said, having that Umbral Glaive now as that first item. So even if Chocho does look for any defensive wards in the bottom side, Breathe is a little bit in danger.
Yeah, that was ult used by Xioalaohu, so a lot of damage there, but Hacker just kicked out of the play. Home run for Breathe as he just sends Hacker packing.
And now with only the golems available on the map. I believe the Raptors just spawned as well. Wei is sitting on a 10 CS lead. Now he's gonna look for the engage onto Xioalaohu, who does have the flash available, but no mana once again.
Yeah, Breathe gets the slow there, the flash again. Their flashes are on the exact same timer because they both flashed in the previous top gank. So Wei just makes it look easy, gets his second kill, already the Umbral Glaive in pocket, and that's before spending this gold. He's almost 20 CS up in the jungle as well. Like, fantastic game so far from Wei on the Kha'Zix. Manages to build that snowball through the top lane.
All right, Xioalaohu, you can't blind the Jax. Jump in on repeat and have no jungle backing you up, because we see RNG, especially Wei, just making 2 visits towards topside and getting 2 free kills. But I honestly feel like that's a faulty from Hacker not being there for a single counter engage. He's gotten his Evolve as well in Kha'Zix with the RNG skin onto Wei. I mean, we'll get a replay of this. It's just Xioalaohu. Did you not see the flags on the
I
Kha'Zix?
did, but RNG haven't won Worlds. How does he have RNG flags? I'm so confused.
I think there was a chroma for RNG winning MSI for this Kha'Zix skin. I could be wrong though. We need to double check on that. But that skin, it's the ward skin? A ward skin.
You know what? I have no idea, but I did not know that there was MSI stuff. That's cool. I don't know how I didn't know that, but yeah, there you go. RNG recall from Wei. And making it look cool, making it look good. As they move towards the bottom side now. Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. FPX got the first one, but it's feeling pretty RNG favored right now with how strong Wei is.
Yep, sitting on his second serrated Dirk as well now. However, Hacker does have that Rift Herald in his pocket, so hopefully it goes towards LWX. But Wei, he's so incredibly strong. I don't know how Hacker is going to approach towards his bottom lane. Run away!
Yeah, he's going to be all right. Xioalaohu actually using his ultimate in the top side. Breathe really winning out this matchup now. It was looking good for Xioalaohu to start the lane off, but no longer being bullied out by the Poppy on the top side. Absolutely phenomenal performance coming on through his LP now. Trying to defend in the bottom side. The Herald going to be used. Oh, hook is beautiful from Jojo. The follow-up there. Tangyuan flashes away to keep himself alive, but he goes down anyway. Traded. As Hacker falls as well, and now FPX on retreat. As Breathe arrives on the scene, a knock up onto LWX, but no follow-up from the rest of the squad.
Although Breathe commits the TP towards his bottom side, it is going to allow Xioalaohu to have a bit of a breather in the top side, secure some plates, and it is going to be a 1-for-1 trade. But from the execution of FPX, a lot of skill shots did go wide, and them not having this vision control in this river is going to be really tough for them to contest. But the initial hook lands onto LP, but the charm goes wide, the Jinx rocket goes wide from LWX as well, and Tangyuan honestly lived for way too long. But in the very end, it does force a TP out of Breathe, while you have the Jax securing a bit of extra gold into his pockets, and now he has the TP. Oh, Care has a TP to come back into the play.
Alright, Dragon taken. And I think they will get out with their lives, but they might want a little bit more as well. Wei toying with the idea, but Jojo moves into clear vision. So RNG, they get away with it in the end. 2,000 gold lead. They get themselves a Drake as well. But can they find anything more? It feels like they want to fight still. It doesn't look like Wei wants to back away, but does decide to go for his red buff in the end. The reset came through from the bottom lane. And it's getting a little bit messy, but ultimately it is RNG in control, and I'm impressed by Breathe on the Poppy so far this game as well. Like, usually you think of Poppy being a relatively boring laner, you know, tank up at the top side, but being willing to be aggressive, being willing to find this 1v1 against Xioalaohu, and then TPing down, trying to make the play on the bottom side as well.
I'm gonna be real, Munch. I don't think it's Breathe wanting to play aggressive, but Xioalaohu is realistically jumping in off cooldown whenever he has that dash available. But with the grass versus grass, he is going to have a bit of sustain when it comes to the lane matchup. I would love to see Xioalaohu pick up something like the Hull Breaker as a second item and just all in on the side lane win condition. For FPX, you do have disengage for the side of RNG's flash engages from the Annie and LvMao, but really utilize Xioalaohu this game for game 2 because he has high expectations after how game 1 went on that Scion.
He certainly does. See if he can live up to those expectations, because it's going to be a tough one, that's for sure. But so far, so good. LWX, I feel like, is a player that has had really big moments, but like we were talking about game number 1, feels like he needs to carry. And rightly so, A, in this meta, but B, being comfortably the most experienced player on this team. Like, he has to, you know, be the leader for this squad. He has to be the one that's willing to take that mantle onto his shoulders. Junk's certainly a carry that you can do that on. And perhaps he'll be able to make things happen later on. The one issue is their composition not really got that great of a front line. But with the Wukong, with the Nautilus, with the Jax, you can certainly buy space in creative ways and find ways to start fights. Xioalaohu just gets kicked out of the top lane. Tangyuan having none of it as he drops the Tibbers. Oh,
He's gonna solo him.
He could be in big trouble here, but Breathe doesn't commit. Sees the jungler coming and realizes he's got to leave.
Not too sure because it is going to be a tower for a tower, but on opposing sides. But RNG having this early game lead from Wei, picking up the double kill. He's gonna just mess up LWX's tempo just a little bit with that ultimate, being a bit of a pest. But with the dragon spawning in 2 minutes, we do have items coming online. Duskblade and Umbral Glaive available for Wei on this Kha'Zix. And depending on how FPX groups up for this upcoming T-fight, they can just give this dragon away and look for a pick onto Xioalaohu on the opposing side, but I don't think so. It's going to be a full-on 5v5, but LWX having that cleanse available, I don't think it's going to be enough, so he has to be very careful with how he positions himself because RNG, they have way too many threats with Wei, LP, and Tangyuan having those mythics online.
LWX taking a couple of chunks from the Infern before the fight as well. You do always have to be a little cautious when you're playing against that Aphelios, not to get chunked out. Still, just over a minute before the Drake and the Honey Fruit will fix the error of LWX's ways. And it's just one Drake apiece to start us off, so either team would be happy with a second Drake. And I like that FPX are grouping up, trying to work as a team to find priority, but Breathe still, I feel like, uncontested in the side lane so far this game. Like, aside from very early on, he's just had freedom. Finished the Sunfire Cape, close to a second item as well. Like, he has got all the space he could possibly want. Care has the TP available and is clearing the waves on the top side to match Breathe. Aka wants to get some vision, but no chance. Tangyuan has Flash, has Tibbers. This is the style of play we were talking about in game number 1. Looking for these picks before the objective happens. Chocho wants to face check, but no, it's in the mid lane now. Wei gets the kill. Those are the picks we're talking about.
Not too sure if you want to be face checking that one as Care. I mean, Tangyuan commits the flash, but FPX, buddy, you gotta start looking for those resets to allow Care and LWX to pop off in these team fights. But if one person goes down and Breathe forces 2 people out with that Poppy ult as well, the numbers advantage is going to be absolutely insane for FPX to deal with. But this Umbral Glaive is getting so much value for these major objectives, and that's the problem with Kha'Zix, is that you have to shut down this champion early on, because once the Umbral Glaive comes on, especially when you're a team composition that works of picks alongside this Nautilus and Ahri, I mean, it is going to be a very tough one to come back as Wei secures this Ocean Dragon for them as well.
We'll see if anything can happen. The rocket came out from LWX, which was not even close to a steal. Drake taken. Why doing a good job? So, my brain is unconfused now as actually LvMao, quite an aggressive face check here, but should be able to get away. Is on that Rakan, so he'll walk out the Guardian, keeping him safe as well. Let's take another look at the fight, and then I'll go back to what I was talking about.
Yeah, this is just purely FPX not having any vision towards this Dragon Pit and getting caught out of position. Tangyuan being on his comfort, Ahri, where he is able to just play a pick by pick. FPX a bit disrespectful with how they kind of approach these team fights, but I feel like Hacker leaving something to be desired, because we know that Wukong, once you hit level 6, you play for those chokes, you play with the Cyclone, and you force these summoner spells out of specifically LP. But for this game too, very quiet start for Hacker once again.
Yeah, tough one for Hacker. I want to quickly talk about Wei and the skin that he's wearing. It's Championship Kha'Zix, which was from Season 8 Worlds, and all of the attending teams get a chroma. That's what's going on. And speaking of, he's going to try and finish off Care, but the Spirit Rush keeps him safe, and now TP comes on through as well. Wei has to flash, but the stun from Tangyuan is beautiful, but the rocket across the map! LWX cleaning that one up, and now looking for LP as well, who's forced to flash away. LvMao alone flashes into the pit. Hacker buying time for his team as he gets to knock up onto LvMao, but they're so fast. They will get away with their lives as a TP into the mid lane, but denied and sent home. Breathe saves the day, saves LP and LvMao from the flank.
Wait, just use... Oh, flash from LWX! He's gonna get it!
The red buff
with the red
slow,
buff.
surely gets it. There we go, reset comes on in as LvMao gets out the top side of the play. And everything had been looking so good for RNG all game long, but FPX are here to play. They will not go down without fight. Breathe trying to fight.
I mean, somehow, some way, FPX, they crawl back into this game. And LWX, he finds 2 kills into his pockets on this Jinx.
Fantastic stuff. Take another look at this pick to start it off, but Care just survives easily.
Yeah, the charm lands onto Wei as well. The TP committed from Xioalaohu. Wei was way too overextended on the side lane play. He definitely didn't expect that Jinx rocket to finish him off so quick, but Hacker getting his hands onto LP after the flash was committed as well. I mean, great team fight from FPX's RNG. They were so disconnected if you look at the solo lanes compared to the bottom, but this was just a bit goofy. Let's ignore that, however, so LWX having the Gale Force as well, knowing that LP didn't have that flash. I mean, great engage onto this Felix and seals the second kill into this Jinx's pocket, but now this Jinx is going to become a huge problem nearing that second item as well.
Wei was hoping for a pick in the jungle, but he's not going to find it. He's already taken that blue buff, but everyone from FPX is around that Baron. They know what's on the cards. They know what's important in this one. LP trying to step up, but this is the tough thing. You need Breathe with the team to face check to try and fight for vision, because the rest of the team really cannot be the ones to face check. Kind of similar story for FPX, where they don't necessarily have anyone super tanky that can just walk into these brushes without getting one shot by the Kha'Zix. And RNG will get themselves some more vision, but not actually managing to clear all of the FPX vision, so no real threat of the Baron on the side of RNG right now. Oof, close one, Chocho.
Wei, with that W evolve as well, he honestly wants to look for poke onto FPX before they look for hard engage onto LP.
Yeah, LvMao trying to block for his AD carry right here. He'll go down, but he trades support for support. And honestly, with the attempt coming out from FPX, you're happy with that one as Breathe now. Pushing in the top side as well. He's like, look, oh, you didn't get the kills you wanted? Well, I'm just gonna hit your tower then.
It's so insane to think that this Poppy is out split pushing the Jax when it comes to this game too, having so much pressure, but of course the Dragon will be spawning in 40 seconds. Ocean Soul point for the side of RNG. Both supports are going to reset, but no vision whatsoever except for that tiny ward at the back of that mid lane, so that does allow for a singular TP flank from the side of Xioalaohu if he's gonna take it. But I need to talk about how Wei, he just picked up the Edge of Night. He wants to look for that W evolve poke onto the enemy team. And it's going to be really hard for FPX trying to look to stop this Kha'Zix because of that spell shield available in his pockets.
Tangyuan, oh, good dodge on the zap there. Used the fire shield just to have that movement speed. As another hook from Chocho. This time LvMao won't get out, although the shield comes through at the last second. And I eat my words, he does get out. Chocho doing so well on these engages. Close one. Good attempt from LWX. He's been key with these rockets so far this game, that's for sure. But the potential pick should be enough to open up this Drake for FPX. A good charm onto Breathe. He was on a ward there. So LvMao is in the back of the pit, just getting vision for now. The Drake taken down here. But will they get a fight? RNG want a little bit more. The Flame Chompers buy space. Wei goes forward, but they can't find anything except an inside track to the mid lane. Chocho looking for an engage, but he won't find it. And look at LP. He just charges down to tier 2.
I'm honestly surprised that RNG didn't contest the Baron while FPX was full committed onto this dragon, as we have the Kazakhs and the Ophelos. They do Baron really quick. The Scuttle Crab is going to spot them out though, so unfortunately it is going to be let open. But FPX slowly crawling back into this game, and now LWX sitting on 3 items as well. And his flash is going to be coming up very soon. So Tangyuan playing alongside Kazakhs, they need to get their hands onto this Jinx and really shut her down, as she doesn't have I guess Lulu or anything to really help her out. As FPX, they're going full dive, so LWX all men for themselves pretty much.
And not to mention the fact that Wei is 3 items on the Kazakhs. He gets a half second with LWX. LWX is down, but everyone's already in the brush. They thought they had an assassination, but Hacker buys space. Breathe behind enemy lines here, managing to make his team push forwards, managing to find space in the fight. LP, the one to shred the health bars. Here comes Xioalaohu. Can he turn it around though? LP survives somehow. The solo lane is left alone in the world. 3 kills for RNG. And Breathe wants a little bit more. The rest of the team not on the same page. But this will open up Baron, and this game had looked so good for FPX. But it's just not good enough.
It was so good, and FPX fumbled it because they were trying to get that vision onto this Baron, but RNG, utilizing the flash from Tangyuan, is going to get his hands onto Stragglers in this team fight. But that TP from Breathe was just absolutely insane, as we keep talking about how LWX, he is the main damage source, but he himself is getting zoned out by this Poppy, and it's just very hard to survive in these team fights once the Poppy is in your face, and even with the flash available, it's just not enough. Honestly, LP living here is such a surprise, because without the Ophelos alive, I feel like that Baron wouldn't have been theirs.
Yeah, that flash, I think everyone was expecting him to flash downwards, and he flashes up instead, and I think perhaps they lost him in the source there, as he managed to escape with his life, and now a 7,000 gold lead at 26 minutes. It's not too shabby for RNG, is it? As they have consistently looked like the better mid-game team. And I mean, this time around, doing better in the early game as well. Breathe especially, looking fantastic in this game. Way off to the races as well. And how often do you see Poppy locked in the top lane, and then the jungle focuses on that top lane? Like, you don't usually see a tank lane camped like this, but Wei sees his opportunity. He knows that the Poppy can be the setup for him to be the carry, instead of the other way around. And it pays dividends.
With the way Xioalaohu was approaching that early game laning phase, it was really nice that Wei made that early gank and shut down this Jax, not having that flash available as well. But I really want to give credit to LP and LvMao for this second game as well. They honestly denied every single gank opportunity from FPX, and that's where they started kind of struggling with this Ahri and Wukong. We haven't really seen a successful team fight playing up those resets for Ken LWX to really create that space, or at least close the space between them and the carries. But now without any vision in their own jungle, I'm not too sure how they're going to approach this upcoming team fight, because the dragon is going to be spawning in 1 minute. They're not going to be able to contest that, and Xioalaohu only sitting on his second item, no hull breaker. When you come to 5v5s and fighting head on, RNG, they're going to be able to take that every single time.
Certainly are, as Breathe just absolutely no damage. He's 3 items on the Poppy, but they ain't exactly big damage items. And even against Chocho, who he is 6 levels above, he still did have, what, like 200 damage in that whole trade? Yeah, Poppy ain't being picked up for the damage, that's for sure. But RNG now with the Baron in pocket for another 25 seconds. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to grab another tower. Perhaps they can get this tier 2 in the bottom side, but you can see FPX moving over to try and defend. They've basically got this wave to take the tower unless they want to just do a normal siege without the Baron, but Charm comes out from Care, trying to buy space. And the last Baron wave will be cleared. So RNG now, they've got to do it manually. They've got to do it without that Baron.
Yeah, and Breathe, obviously using that TP for the previous Baron flank, isn't going to have that available for the upcoming few seconds. So you do see both top laners making their way towards this dragon. I don't think Xioalaohu is going to get much done. He has to get that 3-item spike to really start putting extra pressure. Is that going to be the Jax getting caught here?
Oh, the Graviton comes out off the back of the Infernum Q. It's beautifully done, and LvMao follows up. Those are the picks that we were talking about. This is how you got to play these kinds of Rakan compositions. Beautifully done here RNG find themselves an opportunity on Xioalaohu. And his scoreline looking similar to game 1 at this point. Tangyuan getting priority so that Wei can go for the Drake. That'll be sole point. And RNG, in case they didn't have enough advantages already, there's another.
Xioalaohu definitely forgot that this isn't your swamp, buddy, as he was just trying to clear that minion wave in the mid lane before they start forcing the 1 and 4 double tibbers from Tangyuan.
Yeah, LwX survives as in goes Breathe to force a little bit more LP with the kill. And it's a nice little pickup. Not enough respect coming out from FPX as the tower goes down. Wei getting jumped on by Hacker, but just leaps away to safety. And he's going to go for a red buff on the top side instead.
This top side of RNG, I mean, we saw it in game 1, Wei and Breathe working so well together as that duo and being the 2 remaining players of RNG from the old roster. Their veterancy is definitely showing, and it's giving Xioalaohu a very big challenge when it comes to this game. But I have to talk about how FPX, I mean, you do see them having a great early game, but Hacker and Xioalaohu in particular definitely start dropping the ball when it comes to this mid game from hesitancy. We don't see Hacker playing towards Xioalaohu ever, but being so confident to lock in the Jax line, you need to have your jungler, or at least your mid laner, to make their way and put some pressure onto Breathe and really set you up for success. But FPX coming into this game, that should have been the plan, but we didn't see the execution.
No, we certainly haven't. And Hacker, like you say, struggling later on into the game. There's half of his health gone.
He's fine.
What? Wade just got 250 gold from first strike. That's a kill. That's basically a kill. Just from Qing a couple of times. That is disgusting.
Who needs kills when you have first strike on this Kha'Zix? But look at the value of this zombie ward and Umbral Glaive in the pockets of Wei. Absolutely no vision control for the side of FPX. I'm not too sure how they're going to approach this upcoming Baron, which is going to be spawning in 7 seconds. They honestly can just bait with the idea of Baron and force a 5v5 and then pretty much end the game. But FPX, they're not even going to contest it.
Why bait when you can just take the Baron? Easily 2-man this one. It's the rocket! Whoa! The timing was spot on. But luckily for RNG, LP and Wei aware of the fact that could happen, dodging the rocket. That got really dicey for a second though. Well played by LwX, but unfortunately wasn't quite enough to find the Baron. So now, RNG, 10 and 4. They're over 10,000 gold in the lead. They've got the Baron in pocket. We need a miracle now for FPX if they want to find themselves back in this series, because RNG, they're looking at evening themselves up in the standings. They want to get that 3-3 mark.
The problem is here, Munch, is that how much are you willing to give until the game is over? Because LP is now sitting on GA, has the flash available, and the Dragon Soul is going to be spawning in 2 minutes, but I'm sure the game won't get to that point, as we don't see any proactive plays coming out of the FPX squad. And now, sitting at 10 and 4, they're going to look at a 4-1 type of composition or wave push out of these two. And Breathe, he's fine in this matchup, just using up Xioalaohu's time as well.
Yeah, Breathe happy to just sit in the side lane, let the Baron minions do their thing. As here comes Wei as well to get some damage down, but actually tanking the tower. Does need to be cautious. Xioalaohu uses the ultimate, but so does Wei. And again, the siege continues. LP, if you give him just a second on that tower, he will get a kill. As the Tippers just wrecks LwX. Tangyuan has the damage. Jojo, the next target here, sliced on through LP to get the kill. And that might just be game. 2 players down on the bottom side. Care, Hacker, Xioalaohu, what have you got for the tank? Can you hold on? TP to hold the wave here. As Hacker half HP, LwX gonna already be down in this one. Hacker the next target. As LP finishing the job, double kill for him. Xioalaohu can't escape. And that's gonna be game. RNG honestly making it look easy in the second.
I mean, Tangyuan saying that he wants to get off work and instantly pulled the trigger onto LwX. Even having that stopwatch available for the AD carry of FPX, not enough